Coaching is not a one-person show. I tip my cap to all the coaches out there who are doing it solo. You're completing a job meant for multiple people, and that's not easy at all. Your players are so lucky to have you. For all coaches out there who are lucky enough to have assistant coaches helping you, you should make it a priority to do everything you can to make sure your assistant coaches feel important. In today's Bullpen Bulletin, we're covering my 4 tips for the best ways to make sure your assistant coaches feel valued. Hey team, Coach Hart here with Building Better Baseball, the best place for baseball education. If this is your first video and you want to learn something new about baseball every week, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can catch every weekly Bullpen Bulletin. For all coaches watching this who are in their new season and they're finding out that they could use some tips on running better and more efficient practices to get the most done in the limited time, I made a free 2-hour practice plan just for you. It's complete with 2 practice blueprints and covers everything you're looking for to improve your practices. Make sure you grab it in the description below. And now that we're in the new season, are you in need of some new equipment but you don't really know how to find the perfect equipment for you? Be sure to grab my free guide for finding new equipment linked in the description below. It explains the best ways to find your perfect fit for a new glove, a bat, a helmet, and everything else we use to play baseball. I made it just for you. Now, let's talk about how we can make our assistant coaches feel valued. My first tip is to involve them in preseason discussion. One of the most important parts of the season for a youth coach is the preseason, before the season even starts. The preseason is when a coach sits down and figures out what the team is going to look like for the upcoming season. They figure out what players and positions are coming back from the previous season. They figure out what positions they need to fill, what league they're playing in, how many tournaments they want to play in, and what their expectations and goals are for the team and the season. These are just a few things that coaches have to figure out before the season starts. There are 2 types of coaches. One type of coach will sit down by themselves and make all of these preseason decisions individually with no input from anybody else, parents or assistant coaches. They're confident that they're going to make all the right decisions for the team, and they're going to tell the parents and other coaches how it's going to be, instead of asking for help in the decision making. Whether they're trying to or not, these types of coaches are setting a tone of my way or the highway before the season even starts. The second type of coach will involve all of their assistant coaches in these decisions. They will schedule a time for dinner or lunch or coffee where all the coaches can get together and collaborate and bounce ideas off each other. This is an awesome way to get to know your assistant coaches and make sure you all are on the same page for the upcoming season. They could even bring up an idea that you never thought of that could improve the team. If you involve your assistant coaches in the preseason meetings and decisions, you will immediately let them know that you value them as assistant coaches and they bring value to the team and the coaching staff. My second tip is always ask for their input and opinions. Tip number 2 sort of goes hand in hand with tip number 1, but it's more focused on the entire season. No matter how talented and knowledgeable a coach is, there are very few coaches who can do it all by themselves. Assistant coaches are more than just helpers to help with drills during practices and keep the team focused during a game. Most coaches played baseball, or at least some sort of team sport at some point in their life, so they have knowledge that they can bring to the table, even if it's not baseball knowledge. Assistant coaches want to be actively involved in the team and its success. I don't know many assistant coaches who just want to stand back in the shadows and do what they're told. Ask their opinions, ask what they think, and ask for input as often as you can. This will do 2 things. First, it will bring you new ideas that you never thought of. It will shine a light on a situation from a new perspective that never crossed your mind. That's why you have assistant coaches, to help you see each practice and each game from a different lens, and to help guide you to a more well-rounded decision when your view of the situations could be clouded in tunnel vision. Second, it will make your assistant coaches want to coach with you because they know that you value their opinion. They will feel like they're part of a mastermind group of coaches who are all an essential piece of the puzzle, and without them, the team wouldn't be as successful. There is a reason that they're not called assistant helpers or just assistants who are at your beck and call. They're assistant coaches, and they probably wouldn't be at your side if they didn't bring something to the table. Let them know that you value their input and opinions on situations by asking what they think as often as you can. My third tip is to assign them a role. There are many coaching roles that need to be fulfilled during a season. Depending on how many coaches are on the staff, there are many jobs that can be completed. In games, there needs to be a third base coach, a first base coach, and a bench coach, just to name a few. If you have a lot of coaches, there could also be a pitching coach or a pregame infield-outfield coach. In practices, there could be a conditioning coach, a batting practice coach, or a coach to work with specific positions like outfield or catching. When you're lucky enough to have a strong coaching staff, it's best if each of these coaches has a role. If each coach has a role, that gives them a place on the team that's theirs. They can do it how they want because it's their role. This allows them to prepare for that specific role and to make that part as perfect as they can. If they're the pregame infield-outfield coach, they can focus on their role and try and make the pregame warm-up as smooth and crisp as they can. If they're the third base coach, they can really find out who on the team has a lot of speed and who doesn't. This research will benefit them in the field because they'll know who can steal bases and who they can send home on a single up the middle. As we talked about before, it's a tough task for a head coach to do everything alone with no help. If you're a head coach and you're lucky enough to have help, make sure you delegate tasks and assign your assistant coaches a role. That will relieve you of having to think about 10 different things at once, while also giving your assistant coaches the feeling of purpose and to do their job, which is to assist. When I coached, I was lucky to have 2 great assistant coaches every season. One of them played soccer at the collegiate level, so he knew all about being part of a team. He always said, "That's my role, coach. I'm the be a great teammate guy. I can't teach them much about baseball like you can, but I can teach them how to be part of a team." I loved that. He did a fantastic job, and it was truly a blessing to coach beside him for the time that we coached together. He was also a first base coach. I always had my assistant coaches out on the bases while I was in the dugout doing the lineup changes and substitutions. This was a great system because it gave my assistant coaches a purpose on the team that they really enjoyed, and it allowed me the brain space to make the best decisions regarding the lineup and getting everyone in the game. Make sure you assign your coaches a role. It will make your life a lot easier as a head coach and also help your assistant coaches feel valued. My 4th tip is what I think is the most important one, and it's ask about their lives. This tip will be short and it seems obvious, but honestly, I think it's often overlooked by many head coaches. Yes, baseball is a game, but the experience of baseball is much more than playing a game. It's spending time with other people and sharing the experience of winning and losing and having fun and working hard to accomplish a goal. We're all humans, and head coaches should treat their assistant coaches like it. Practices and games are not there just to go, play, and leave. As a head coach, try your best to develop a relationship with your assistant coaches that's bigger than baseball. Ask them about their lives. Ask them how everything is, how their spouse and kids are doing if they have a family. Ask them how school is going if they're younger and in college. Baseball is an experience, and it's an experience for everyone involved. Everyone always has something going on in their lives, whether it be good or bad. If it's good, we always want to share. If it's bad, we might be a little closed off that day. Instead of making assumptions on how a person is doing or what's going on in their life, just ask. Show them that you value their time and value them as a person without the label of assistant coach. This will do wonders for your coaching staff, and as the season progresses, the end result of a baseball game will matter less and less, and the time spent with fellow coaches and your players will matter more and more. I can say from experience that right now, the thing that I remember the most about my years of coaching, besides a few big hits and a few big wins, is the time that I spent with my team and my coaching staff. We made memories that will last forever, and that's the greatest thing that anybody could ever ask for. I'm still friends with my assistant coach to this day, and that's because I developed a friendship that went beyond baseball. If you're a coach watching this, leave a comment below and tell me your favorite story about an assistant coach of yours. I'm sure all coaches watching will be able to relate to your story. Remember, you can make your assistant coaches feel valued if you involve them in preseason discussion, if you always ask for input and opinions, if you assign them a role, and you ask about their lives. And don't forget to grab your free 2-hour practice plan and your free equipment guide in the description below. Thanks for sticking around for today's discussion. I hope this video helps shine a new light on assistant coaches and how you can make each season the best one possible for your coaching staff. Tune in next week for another edition of the Bullpen Bulletin.